In Quebec, again, Claude Gauvreau, Beauté Baroque, which is a text by a Quebec artist. Nicole Brossard, more recently, has written a novel, Baroque d'Aube, again in the title, you find Baroque. And then the photographer Cecil Beaton is a good example of how somebody goes into Baroque thematics and motives. You might have heard about Jana Sterbach's Vanitas, the flesh piece, the flesh robe. I don't know whether it was a big scandal in Canadian art, the art scene. She has made up a robe, or what do you call it? Une robe, a dress with flesh, with meat. So, and she calls it Vanitas. So this is certainly a reference. I've written a catalogue piece for one of her exhibitions in Spain on the Baroque resurgences in Jana Sterbach. So I've been working on this. Then we will have Arte Povera. This is one of the references. But in general, in a more general way, we have a strong affinity that has been established between postmodern and New Baroque. I don't know, we might not be able today to go sufficiently into that. That would be another workshop, only that one, but that's important. And then on the Latin American side, of course, there's this whole construction of identity with the Baroque paradigm going on. I just mentioned two things. Carpentier Concierto Barroco in the title, and it's a very Baroque piece, very interesting piece. And then Paul Leduc, the Mexican filmmaker, has made Paul Leduc Rabinovich made a movie, Barroco, out of that novel. Interestingly, the novel is with the title that says it's a musical piece, and the movie about a literary work has no words in it. Well, that's already very interesting.
Sorry, the literary work has no words in the music?
No, the literary work, of course, is made out of words, but it pretends to be a concerto, musical piece. Right. And the movie has no words in it. It refers to a literary work, and with no words. So that's a very interesting crisscrossing of Baroque elements, and it's not today. It's a few decades ago, but it's I would say that's contemporary. So. And we also have then processes of reception of certain Baroque artists. That's very interesting. I once started a series of new cultural heroes that are Baroque heroes, and I'm going to mention four. Caravaggio, certainly, Derek Jarman's movie, but also his biography has been kind of actualized. It's it's circulating a lot. The case of Gracian, the translation of Gracian. Pergnola has made a whole theory, a new theory of action out of Gracian. We have this famous example, you might have heard of it, Werner Krauss, who is a German communist, and he was working in East Germany. But during the war, he was one of the members of a resistance group against the fascists, and they caught him and he went into prison. And apparently he was reading Gracian to survive in prison. The handbook, what is it? The handbook?
Oraculo Manual.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a survival kit for Werner Krauss in the fascist prisons. So it's
which book was that?
The handbook, manual.
Oraculo Manual, what's it called? Oraculo Manual, and I mean that's
it's nearly a how-to-do thing, how to behave in difficult political situations. Kind of. I found that book in a Brazilian version in the bookstore of the airport of Sao Paulo. So just to see how it circulates.
It's circulating. I ordered
translated from an English translation. That's interesting in itself. Anyway. So we have Caravaggio, Gracian, Gregorio di Matos in Brazil. This is a case, Caetano Veloso has a piece, a song, Triste Bahia, which is a sonnet by Gregorio di Matos. There's the whole debate between Haroldo de Campos and João Rodolfo Hansen on Gregorio di Matos. There is a biography by Ana Miranda Bocca di Inferno, the mouth of hell, mouth of hell, yeah. And there is a movie on him. So he is circulating today in contemporary Brazilian culture. And then, of course, Juan Inés de la Cruz. It's a very important Latin American figure. Lisa Malima has made a cultural hero out of it. We have this movie we are going to talk about. So it's interesting how these figures come up today, how they are important today, and those are all Baroque figures. And then, of course, the whole Latin American scene of cultural identity construction, I already mentioned a few times, Lisa Malima, Mabel Moraña, there's one piece in one of the books over there by her, Lisa Malima, Carpentier, Fuentes, Sarluy, they all work on using the Baroque as a paradigm to create a Latin American identity. So, that is how critics and theoreticians resort to the concepts of Neo-Baroque, Baroque, or Neo-Baroque to identify, conceptualize, name, and come to terms with the contemporary cultural scene. So this is kind of the result of my phenomenography. There is a lot around. We have to look at it, and no theoretician can prohibit our gaze at these objects. These are here, and there is enough phenomenological evidence that we have a good research area here. On the other hand, also you have then from the outside, if you look from the outside at the cultural scene, you have critics and theoreticians who set up the concept of the Baroque or use it as a analytical or an epistemological tool to look at the cultural scene today. Omar Calabrese with Eta Neo-Barroca, where he looks, among other things, but I would say mainly a television series. We have Guy Scarpetta with the two books that came out in the 80s, L'Impureté and L'Artifice, and here he takes up the Neo-Baroque or the Baroque as some kind of the end of the avant-garde or the anti-avant-garde new paradigm, and he is the one who makes a good argument about the return of the Baroque and not the return to the Baroque. And then we have Mike Ball's book, quoting Caravaggio, who looks at what kind of artists are kind of inspired by Caravaggio or influenced by Caravaggio or taking up again Caravaggio as a model. And then, of course, I want to mention Angelo Italiani's book on new Baroque aesthetics and contemporary enlightenment, entertainment. And there are more books. And then you have the theoretical approach by Deleuze. I think that this is somebody who reinvents the Baroque with what he calls a concept opératoire, which is the form, le pli. And he kind of reinventing, I think, is a good way of saying what he is doing. So there's lots of things on the table, and lots of things are going on. So there's a renewed, widespread, mostly positive, or at least curious interest in the Baroque in contemporary culture. This is the result of my phenomenography.